Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 498. Three to go to our 500, and we're going to be drafting the Sejuani here today. And I took a peek. I've always been a pretty big fan of Sejuani. She's a very versatile champion. She's a great game ender with her Overwhelm. She's always super relevant with her Frostbite vulnerable kind of ability. And now that some of these new Freylord cards are released, it's much more realistic to flip her as well. And so we'll talk about her a little bit more on the site. If you're not familiar, we are still on ftpbus.com. And so I unfortunately haven't got this updated since any of the new cards were released, ever since they decided to sunset expeditions. You have to pay in to every draft. And I'm not paying into every draft to get my bots up and running. And so things are a little bit out of date. You could see that unit back there that generates the stance swaps. Otherwise, it should be pretty straightforward and fairly close to what you see on the site. But yeah, this raiding party Sejuani, she pairs off with Gangplank, and the idea with this archetype is you're trying to level up your champions through the opposing nexus damage. Now, with Gangplank, you're using sort of like direct damage means, right? He has things like Warning Shot and Make It Rains to deal damage directly to your opponents. You could go for uh, the monkeys, whatever those little 2/1 ephemeral things are that deals damage to your opponent. He has a handful of ways to directly hit your opponent, but the Sejuani is trying to do it with overwhelms. And so in this archetype, you're going to see a bunch of overwhelms. You have the Mighty Poro and the Ruthless Raider. In the early game, things like Ursine Spirit Walker and Scar Maiden Reaver in the late game. And so just looking to just put tons of units on the board, crash in for all of this overwhelmed damage. Now, in the past, we used to just kind of like ignore that we may be able to level up our Sejuani. It's like it would happen maybe like once a trial, maybe every other trial or something, unless you were in a deck like specifically trying to say play like Puff Caps or something like that. But now it's actually kind of like much more reasonable. Now that there's the 3/2 Overwhelm that does a damage to everybody, there's that stance swap card that we just picked up there. Of course, Ice Shard lives here and is much more relevant, and so we could realistically find some ways to level up this Sejuani without having to kind of like dabble in dumb strategies like playing Bilgewater or playing Piltover. Excuse me, and I think this should come together quite nicely. And so the way I typically look at Sejuani is we usually want to just be like either mono Freylord or paired up with Noxus. That's where we're going to have the good late game overwhelming kind of cards. And then, of course, we're never upset about doing something like playing Bandle City. And so we'll see what turns up in the second pack, but kind of keep that in the back of your mind that with the archetypes like this, we're trying to focus on overwhelms. We have good units early, we have good units late, we have good early interactivity with things like Elixir of Iron. We just don't have any removal. That's a standard Freylord weakness in not having removal spells. But interesting next little set here. Interesting set. I was thinking in my little brain piece earlier. Man, it's been a while since we've actually been able to draft a Rumble, and I'm not opposed to it here. These Mecha Yordles are incredibly powerful. And so we could actually pivot over to Rumble here. Now, I will stop and say the thing with Rumble is he really wants to be paired into Noxus, right? He's a Bandle City champion with the half pairing into Noxus, but he really wants all of the reforges in your deck. The strategy you don't want to partake in with Rumble is playing him and discarding 3 real cards. Now, the thing that tends to work with him is, say, we play a Rumble, we discard a Reforge, we discard, I don't know, that like the 2 mana 3/1 that becomes a 4/2, and then like 1 real card, right? Then that's not so bad. But discarding the full 3 real cards is pretty painful. And so, Freylord, not particularly good at generating stuff. We do have the Vulpine Wanderer over here. There is the Conchologist within Bandle City to generate stuff, but it would be tough for us to get like a full Rumble build around without playing Noxus. And so we'll think about this for a second. Our other choice here would be the Swain. That would put us into Noxus, but the Swain archetype does not have a lot of the cards we're looking for. We're looking for the overwhelms out of Noxus, right? So we want things like the 4/3 Ballista, we want Armored Elephants, we want Savage Reckoners. We don't want those like self-damage kind of things, which is what the Swain deck is really looking towards. And then on top of that, these cards are pure and hot ass. You don't really want to be playing Blade's Edge or Death Lotus in any kind of deck. So we'll let those go. And then again, we're going to stay away from Bilgewater. I don't want Bilgewater showing up whatsoever. That's going to dilute our options to pick up these Freylord cards. And so it does bring me back to this Rumble. I think that's who we'll be taking here today. I don't suspect that we're going to be doing a Rumble build around again, because like we're kind of lacking in the card generation. You can come up with a bunch of like Yordle Squire type cards to make up for that, a bunch of Conchologists to make up for it, but it's kind of tough to pull that off. But otherwise, I do love cards like Scrap Heap. The Mecha Yordles are all extremely powerful, especially if you get to discard like a Yordle Squire generated Spear to your Scrap Heap. Squeaker is kind of in the same boat. These Yordles are all extremely good. And then there is some decent removals here like the Group Shot. But the big card we'd be looking to find here is Conchologist. And so we'll see. We'll see what turns up. I suspect we'll probably be drafting around Sejuani today, but that all depends on what turns up. And then as we start out here, just a bunch of real turds coming out of the Sejuani cards. Well, that's not completely true. Murkwurf Shaman isn't really a turd. This one's pretty okay, but Bone Scryer is pretty bad, and it doesn't have Overwhelm, which is the big thing I'm looking at of Sejuani cards. Now, the problem over here with the Glory and Value pack is Fix-em-Uppers is not particularly good. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we shouldn't be complaining about a 3/3 for 2 mana. And it does have the line on it to where damage the enemy nexus, which we can pull off fairly easily. Maybe this is kind of like growing on me a little bit. If we assume that it's just going to be a 3/3 most of the time, it's not that bad of a deal. Okay, I convinced myself. I don't know if I like that convincing that I did, but I convinced myself nonetheless. And okay, fairly interesting pack here. Every Freylord deck I have, I want to have one copy of Rhymetusk Shaman. That's what we're seeing right here. We've got it highlighted. I would love to have one copy of this in our deck. Brittle Steel is fine. The other thing to take note of this pack, though, is the Yordle Ranger. This is just a super powerful unit, but it's paired off with a card we're probably not going to use. We could push for the Allegiance and maybe use the Grenadier. We only have 3 Freylord cards at this point. But the other kind of like flip side to this problem is if we do draft Sejuani's, the Yordle Ranger is another expensive card. And so I think this is probably like the kind of telling point in this draft is the direction that our deck is going to take. Do we want to chase after the Allegiance and go full Rumble? Or do we want to take the Rhymetusk Shaman and still kind of keep our options open? And I think I'm going to go with the Yordles here. And the thing being is, if we get the big payoff to turn up for going heavily into Bandle City, that's great. But if it doesn't pan out, the only thing that we're really down is we have this like awkward Gruff Grenadier in our deck. And so I think this is okay. And then even at the end of the day, the Grenadier has impact, which could be useful for Sejuani. Okay, but the good stuff keeps turning up. Man, the Tusk Raider is pretty interesting here, because if we're going to be in this space to where we're only playing one copy of Sejuani, then it is pretty interesting to have the Tusk Raider in our deck. I think I'm going to go for this. I like this idea of now like drafting around Rumble, having the Tusk Raider to load up Sejuani, still being able to use some of these raiding party style plunder cards as we're picking up the various impacts that we'll get from the manifests and such. So I think this will be okay. I think this will be very impactful, if you will. Okay. So here, we definitely don't want the Noxus cards. I don't want the Yetis cards either. It's a fairly easy take with the Tenor of Terror and the Bandle Painter. All right, and then here's what we're going to have to focus on. We really need to get these card generation cards. I don't think we can pass on these whenever they turn up. So we're going to be taking the Yordle Squire out of this pack just to make sure we have some generation. Pretty weak set out of these. There is the It That Stares, but I don't think that this is really going to be the home for it. If we're going to be this kind of like go wide-ish Bandle City deck, I'm just going to go with the Pokestick and the Murkwolf Shaman out of these. Okay, it's tough to pass on a Yordles in Arms. I've been playing quite a bit of it in Constructed, and it is extremely powerful, and we are decently lined up to take advantage of it, right? We're in Bandle City Freylord. That's where, the easy piece of this is going to come from. But we have one Yordle Ranger, one Tenor of Terror outside of our factions. We have a P and Z and the Aloof Travelers, so we're up to 3. And then we have the Bandle Painter to potentially generate something. So we have 4 cards at this point to help activate it on super mode. And I think I'm pretty okay with that. So let's snatch up this Yordles in Arms while we have a chance. Coming in here, Bandle Painter, Aloof Travelers really helps with that theme as well. Happy to snatch those up. And all right, we are definitely in to some of this world traveling. Poro Sled's quite powerful. It doesn't help us too much in terms of multi-faction, but the generated Poro tends to be quite useful. I hope I'm not passing on like too much of these arena promoters, but the Sled and the Kingpin are just so powerful. All right. Less awesome pack here. Happy enough to take the Stone Stackers. It's still a pretty reasonable early play. We can make usage of Shaman's Call, right? If we put it on, say, Yordle Ranger or the Tusk Raider, some big boys that like to pick up that Overwhelm, kind of same with the Poro Sled. We have some decent late-game targets that don't have Overwhelm. All right, here, not excited about the Electro Harpoon, but again, I'm really going to push for these Yordle Squires. I want to have all of the card generation that we can in terms of getting our Rumble online. And then with the last one here, I'm going to take this Vulpine Wanderer. I like the War Mother's Call, I concede, is extremely powerful, but I feel like we just don't need it. Our top end is good enough. We have a lot of bad hits with the War Mother's Call, and so I'm just going to go with the Vulpine Wanderer as a card generator. All right. We got another card generator here, and the Conchologist looks pretty good. But now, do we want to come down here and trade away this Gruff Grenadier, though? We definitely gave up on being in Allegiance, and it's not going to hit frequently. It's going to hit about 2/3 of the time. I guess it's enough, but I like the idea of Harsh Winds here. We don't have a ton of interactivity, and this is a big, powerful interactive spell. All right, so you all know what time it is. We do have to go and turn something premium. Let's take a peek at what's available out here. We got the Bandle City Freylord. We should have something, right? We should have something in the common space. Maybe. Flame Spitter's in our deck. There we go. There's a common for us. I'm pretty sure we got a Flame Spitter. Any of these Yordle cards in here? Let's see. Cold Resistance, Yordle Portal we don't have. I'm pretty sure we drafted a Flame Spitter. I think we got one. That's going to be our take for the day. Why not? We got ourselves a common. And let's get to battle. So yeah, I think this is going to be fine. We have a reasonable collection of cards. I think we got like 4 card generators for Rumble to use. But kind of one of the interesting things with Rumble is he's not that exciting until you have multiple copies in your deck, right? It does kind of suck to like discard 3 cards to Rumble and then him be your only copy, right? Your opponent casts a Pokey Stick on him, casts a Vengeance, and he's done for. Then your future copies don't have those bonuses. And so it's not like necessary. I haven't played tons of games to where we just put tons of Rumbles on the board. But it's nice to have the additional copies. Teetables. Is that like suckle on my teats? Is that what we're dealing with here? We'll see. And all right, so let's hang on to the Rumble. Stone Stackers is a high-quality unit. Don't think we quite need the Flame Spitter here. And let me see if I can get that tracker on the screen. I've kind of figured it out. I think if I exit the tracker and then reload it, it tends to work. I don't know. I'm usually quite the failure at getting the deck tracker on the board. There it goes. Boom. Yeah, I'm getting good. I've hit Masters in Constructed. I've hit Masters at getting deck tracker on the screen. Go bust. All right, so here I'm going to let him generate with the Bandle Commando. That's fine. I think we'll get a little bit of something going with our Stone Stackers. I mean, we might just abandon some of this discard plan and move into the scrap heap, but don't have to immediately. This could be a bit of a mistake in that we could have gone like Bandle Commando into Flame Spitter, but I don't want to get like super involved here in the early game. I'm looking to play a little bit more towards the late game here. Get the Spear. We got some of this discard value happening now. And I want to see what happens when we pick up this Mecha Yordle. It should be fairly overwhelming for his board. Let's just pass. I don't think it's super important to take down the Bandle Commando. We could have played the Flame Spitter, but I want to be a little bit more reactionary here. Now let's Scrap Heap. Discard Tiny Spear. Any of you good? When I'm summoned, grant the other allies 1/1. That seems kind of nice here. We can still just say, like, add Rumble to the board, and then boost everything next turn. Impact for the first, I mean, I think I just want to play him as a 5/4. Just get all them stats on the board. He can still flip and do stuff, right? I mean, it's not like he doesn't do anything just because he didn't get all of the quick attacks and everything. If we come in here and just trade with the Pterodactyl, I think that's pretty fine. Is that where we're at, though? He's not like a challenging flip at this point, right? Like our health is pretty healthy. Opponent doesn't have any tricks now because they just spent all of their mana. But it's kind of like the kicker is that we have the Sejuani in hand, and she's capable of getting in a good hook. But I think this is fine. If we trade the Rumble for the Pterodactyl, that's good. If he just throws, you know, Bandle Commando or whatever in front of the Rumble, it's even better. And, ooh. Okay, okay. So a good chance we get that flip next turn. Or on our next attack, I should say. Opponent is going to get to do his Gnar-like shenanigans, though. This Pterodactyl's tearing through. Such premium Rumble out here doing his thing. Now, if I remember how he works, I think if we give Rumble impact, so if we put the Flame Spitter on Rumble, he hits, flips, and then the impact hits, and we get the bonus cards out of it. Now, not 100% certain on that being how this works, but I think it is how it works. I think. I've been wrong before. I will certainly be wrong again. Is this board scary enough? He's done the damage to our face because he has the Pterodactyl on board. It doesn't seem like he's going to attack here. Like, he's not going to risk the Shaman until it flips. I think we can pretty safely just say, like, add the Travelers here, and then next turn play Sejuani. And we'll just get a big Sejuani hook in. And he discards his most expensive as a 4. That's kind of interesting in that he probably doesn't have a whole lot to do now. Okay, so I like this. We're going to Sejuani the 8/8. I'm going to Flame Spitter the Rumble. Rumble's going to hook the 8/8. Should be able to take it down. And then we'll attack with everything else. I don't care if he gets a value block with the Pterodactyl. I don't really care if he wants to say, like, Udyr block a flame. Doing 1 to everything. Do we now have to worry about losing our Rumble to a Pokey Stick? Oh, that's so brutal if that's what we're about to run into. It's like we do have the option to, like, stance swap here. But, oh, this is so dangerous if we go about it that way. I think we have to pivot. I'm going to Flame Spitter the Sejuani, use Sejuani to hook the Mammoth Rager, and then still just attack with everything else. Maybe we don't hit with the 2/2 because it can't kill Udyr. But he's got, like, something up here, and I just don't want... Like, this is just a pure disaster, right, if we play the Flame Spitter on Rumble. and then he has a pokey stick. It's like, if he doesn't have a pokey stick, like, what's his angle on playing Ram Stance before the combat? And all it did was kill the the elusive. Okay. Pretty spot on there. So it feels okay-ish now, right? We have the pokey stick for this pterodactyl. If we want to take it down, he is doing Udyr things, but I mean, he hasn't played a ton of stances. He's not that scary, and he doesn't have Overwhelm yet, and so not ultra scared of him. Harsh Winds was a big pickup. We'll get a sweet attack with it next turn. Maybe even a sweet block this turn. How much is this? Let me stop and check our mana. We'll have 7 mana if we drop the Fix 'em Uppers, and that's fine. If we're looking to make a Harsh Winds play this turn, need to see what he brings forth, but I think it's okay. Summoned or strike. Create a stance swap. You already have one. Cost 0. Okay. So how much of this are we willing to just take? Like, he's got some kind of angle for this Sejuani here. Well, maybe not. If he's just out here trying to generate a dart. It seems like we're about to run into another... like we're about to run into another pokey stick. But I think that's fine. Just taking whatever the expensive one is. To play me, discard a unit? Ugh, you don't have any units. I guess we're back to the Trumpet Tecker. This is angled to play the 1 damage to everything along with the Poison Dart. He doesn't have the mana for that. Alright, seems okay. Sure. Let's get the pokey stick. If he doesn't, if he lets us go into the next turn and we get to play the Trump Tecker, then we're just gonna boost our unit. Now, do we care about the Harsh Winds next turn? That's the new question. We can skip playing Harsh Winds and add the Aloof Travelers. I think I like this. Got a Ruin Runner out of it. Because we're just going to be wider than him, right? Ruinous Path, okay, perfect. So he's sitting on the stance swap, but can't play it onto our Sejuani. Looks good. Here comes the booms. They're about to come right in.
This land is ours.
Do I have to?
We'll just attack. I don't want to give him the opportunity to play more cards, and so I don't think the Yordle Squire is ultra important at this point.
Such is my oath. A fight.
That's about 1 million coming through. Nice. GG, my dude. That's right, the Winter's Claw coming in and doing the triumphing. Go us. So let's see, looking to take more Rumbles. Not excited about these Electro Harpoons, but we are really amped to add in more Yordle Squires. And so, welcome to the squad, my dudes. Alright, on to the next one. Yeah, I was planning on this video to be a Gauntlet video. As the ordering I was planning on doing stuff was that the Fizzalulu video, the Ezreal Caitlyn video, and then do Gauntlet and then play some expeditions. But I always forget that, like, when the Gauntlet's reset, when you're able to actually play it, and I wasn't going to have time to deal with them coming up and being ready. So it's expedition today, but it is kind of interesting coming up. Like a couple of the things that we're turning up on the Reddit is the communications guy made a post in there. Somebody was like, "Herder, why doesn't Reddit?" That's what everyone sounds like on Reddit. If you didn't know, everyone sounds like herder. But the communications guy was saying that there's like 30 some card updates that are coming through in the next patch. So that's pretty big. That's pretty sizable. And then Riot Umbridge left. He was the design lead, I believe. And so a little unfortunate for the lands of Runeterra. Sounds pretty positive for him, though, the way it goes sometimes. But it's kind of one of those things that's always interesting, in that whenever you hear people talk about the developers, right? Just the loose collection of people that work on the game are called the developers. But I'm pretty sure that Umbridge was a design lead, and so in terms of, at least with Magic, and I'm pretty certain to the way Riot does it here, is you have design and you have development. Design are the people that come up with the loosely, come up with like the lore and the worlds and all of the cards. Like thematically, they come up with the like the concepts and the keywords and everything, and then the development team are who come in and then balance everything. And so when a designer comes out and says, "Oh, let's make manifest a thing," you can look at these 3 generated cards, and then maybe the design team says, "Well, why don't you get to manifest with like 4?" Or and then the development team's like, "No, that's way too strong. Let's make it like 3." And that's kind of like the what people would consider to be like the balance team is typically development, and then what they consider to be the people actually, I don't want to say actually making the game. That's kind of reductionary to what the rest of the people do, but they're the ones that are coming up with the real high level concepts. And so he would have been on that conceptual squad, to whereas the people you see, I believe like Deadbolt Doris was along the lines of on the development team. So I could be wrong with how Riot does it. That's the way that the terminology that they always used with Magic. It's you would have, say, like I believe that Rosewater was always the design lead, and I believe Forsyth is the development lead. His title and role may have changed over the course of time, though. Rosewater's definitely the design guy, though. All right, at any rate, back to the action here. Let's see if we can't blow this dude up with a Harsh Winds. And so if we want to take the Callista down, how does that work, right? They're bonded and it takes damage for me. Don't exactly remember how that works. I think we're just going to Harsh Winds like this anyways. Now we just have this, like, super board. You can make, like, a Whirling Death play to take down the Poro, but I think this is fine. Uh-oh. Here comes all the cards. How bad could it be? Whirling Death, you got it. Noxus Blast. Okay. Can't do anything about that, my dude. And then, do we have a reason to save mana for this Sejuani next turn? I'm going to Sejuani down the Callista. I don't think so. We can drop a Tiny Spear somewhere if we need to, but all of our spells are slow. Sejuani's getting close to flipping as well. If we hit once this turn with an impact and then we play Ice Shard next turn, she'll be flipped and ready for our game ender, if you will. Okay. Well, not we could look to boost the attack on Sejuani, Right, it might chunk in for the Overwhelm. It might get us around a weird card like Sharpened Resolve. But I kind of like the idea here of even if this goes wrong, then we're going to get a bit of strength in our width. Okay, so as he's making these attacks, the only thing I start to worry about is the likes of a what do you call it? The atrocity. And so I don't really want to just take the big amount here. The thing we could look to do would be something like this and this. And then we play an Ice Shard, and then the Ice Shard does a couple of things. It flips our Sejuani, and then it should also kill the Rekindler, or it should kill the Callista, right? Because we'll kill off the Glory Seeker with the Shard. How's that one short? Oh, the Shard damage goes onto the Glory Seeker. I gotcha. I think that's still okay. Do we even care at that point? Probably not. Okay. Probably not. Alright, so lots of options. We're definitely just going to play an Ice Shard this turn. Let's discard this other Spear. See what turns up to start. Tenor of Tear is pretty good. These impacts work quite nicely with the Sejuani. It's really... it's so awkward just to kill off all of our own units. Let's at least... I don't... Fucking YOLO, am I right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to Ice Shard. We're going to kill off our own units. We're going to get the Sejuani to flip. We do have to worry about the likes of a Scorched Earth now, but I think it'll be okay, even if they have one. And then I'm going to look to add both the Tenor of Terror and the Yordles in Arms next turn. We'll have the 9 mana for it. We can add the Bandle Commando now and look to get kills this way. We'll have the 9 mana. The Tenor will upgrade the Yordles in Arms. Ooh, he takes away our elusive. Little scary, little scary. So the thing with this attack, right, the impact will hit. It will shrink all of our opponent's units because of the Sejuani ability, and then we should just annihilate the whole board. So even if he does have an answer to Sejuani, I think we'll still be in a pretty good space here. The downside for opponent is if you're familiar with the Callista Rekindler style combos, is to where you lose the Rekindler and then Callista attacks, brings the Rekindler back. The Rekindler brings back the Callista. He's not doing that this game because he played the 5 attack thing, and so whenever Callista attacks, it's just going to bring back the 5/1, and we don't have to deal with that chain. All right, we survived though. Questionable line of play, but it got us there at the end. Definitely the funner way to go about it. Okay, so how do we feel about this? I love Arena Kingpin. I love Arena Promoter. I'm not opposed to the Earthsign Spirit Walker. Like, it's good. I just don't feel like we really need it. We have 2 of the, what are your name? Vulpine Wanderers, and then we have the Shaman's Call as ways to generate overwhelms. And so I don't think this is a big requirement to upgrade a handful of cards, right? It would hit a flipped Shaman, the Yordle Ranger, the Tusk Raider. I think that's fine. I guess it technically hits Rumble as well, but I feel like that's the weakest one. I really like Arena Kingpins, but the downside with it, we don't have any way to give out Challenger or Vulnerable. And then Arena Promoter is just a strong card, right? The 4/3 tough for 4 is a fine deal. Manifesting the Mecha Yordles and making them cheaper is a pretty good cost. It's like, I feel like I shouldn't like fix-em-uppers, but it's just like, if we just accept that it's a 3/3 for 3, it's not that bad of a deal. Where are we at? We're going to have a ton of 4s. Let's skip over that one. I think I'm going to skip all of these. Okay. All right. I feel good about it. Okay. Lucian and Misfortune bringing in the scout stuff on us. Say, I don't. I got to get my rallies with the Lucian instead of the Golden Aegisuses. All right, Boomus. A little late to the party, Yordle Squire. That's okay though. We appreciate the work that you're doing. And so we shouldn't have to be like ultra aggressive onto this Lucian. Gotta pay him a little mind, but we do have the Electro Harpoon in hand to try and take him down. Interesting. So are we like walking into a make it rain? Or would he just be doing that to make sure that we can't block Lucian? Well, I'd like to see him spend some mana before we play the Harpoon. Things are okay now. Discard the Spear, pop the Lucian. Also get some damage to our opponent on their turn. Help us level up this Sejuani a little bit. Okay. It's like I'm pretty tempted to put a stance onto the Stone Stackers. Well, if he's going to pass, we can pass, but I was thinking about giving it like the 0-2 to strengthen him up a little bit. I want to play this Ice Shard so bad, but let's just get our big boy on board. Okay. He should be pretty safe at this point. I'm going to give him the Regenerate and see if we can't just crush through for a few turns. It's going to take us a while to get rolling here. Alright, after all that talk about not discarding real cards, I think I'm good to discard the Ice Shard and the Fix-em-Uppers to get our Rumble up to Quick Attack. So, no Spell Shield. Other cards are too powerful for that, but we get to replace one with the Shared Spoils here as well.
We made it.
Ooh, Yordles and Arms getting aced. Big old chunk of damage coming through. Falls to 3. My dude, that's ambitious. What do we even have to worry about here? Just like a 4 Demacia would be problematic. Not even that? Wow. You don't want Rumble blocking a whole lot. He's about to flip. Something like this. He's got a trick to take down Rumble. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Then if we stance swap onto Rumble and do... I don't think he needs to flip, but deal 1 to everything else. I think it's the stance that deals the damage and not the unit that deals the damage.
The two-headed wolf hunts.
Right, cool. Glad we got that Black Market Merchant off the board right before he drops the pilfered goods. Go us. Okay, so we should be pretty close to lethal here. If he hits our... I was going to say, if he doesn't hit the flame spitter, we can just, like, go for an open kill. But we're going to have to do a little bit more work if we have to play the overwhelm. Or just get more of them impacts.
Love the energy. Should I have read?
Boomed him. Nice. Good job, squad. Very impactful. Very. Rumble and Tristy. A Rumble and Tristana an item? Is that what, is that what's happening there? We don't have the Tristana in our deck. Hope he's not getting fresh with Sejuani out here. But right, all right. So this is one of the things that's been wild to me over the past few days. Is like I've been trying to still figure out what we want to do with the channel. It's like we have this gap, right? I can't play 7 days of Constructed every day and keep making daily videos. It's just I don't feel like I can like make content that I feel like happy and proud about when I'm just playing a bunch of like meme decks and shit. It just doesn't really fit in with where I want like the skill level of stuff to be. Like my thing has always been and where I'd like to always be is I don't think it's that interesting to try and help people get to the top of masters or to even really go from diamond into masters. I think it's a lot more interesting and it helps a lot more people being in that space to where we're trying to get from gold to platinum, platinum to diamond. In that space, and things are a lot more game plan centric and a lot more general in what is it helps people, right? That's if you want to like really sit down and super analyze a play that you're going to see one game out of 50, that's just not really what I find appealing to sit around and talk about. You can go watch Life Coach if that's what you're interested in. But that's kind of like why I don't feel like I can just spend 7 days a week playing Constructed, and so I have to find something else since I don't like the current setup of Path of Champions. I'm not saying it's fun. It just doesn't work for me from a content creation perspective as well, as to where it gets easier as the trials go on, as opposed to getting harder as they go on, as we would see like out of an Ascension and Slay the Spire. And so I'm like kind of trying to decide what I'm going to do with that spare time. I've been playing a bit of Hearthstone, is where this long ramble is going, and I keep doing this on so many cards. I just right click all of the cards because it's so useful in Runeterra to be like, oh, what is a stance swap? You right click on it and you get to see all these things, and it's like I'll go and right click on a card on Hearthstone and it doesn't do anything, or it's just like I'll highlight something and you can't really get any additional information out of it. It's like so, it sucks so much to have to like consider switching to a Hearthstone space when they haven't even mastered the fucking tooltip. Like, you've been here for 10 years, just put the fucking tooltips out here. It's absurd. So whoever at Riot came up with this idea to where it's like, oh, hungry Owlcat, let me show you this right behind it. So if you want to read what the card is, you can figure it out on your own without Google searching stuff in the middle of the game. God, dude, at Riot, I just want to like shake your hand and give you a hug or something. That's you don't realize what a sweet feature that is until it's gone. And I appreciate it. It's a good one. All right, we're getting boomed for a bit here. This would be a nice place to have an AoE. Lots of damage, lots of impacts. Don't really clear out the board. I wasn't calculating and playing around a 2-for-1 combat trick. It's kind of like if they have a trick that win 1 combat, whatever. If they win 2, that's a little tough to expect. But I think we're still okay here. So we can drop the fix-em-uppers, we can scrap heap in the middle of combat, and then we can pokey stick the other stone stackers. It should be fairly strong. His attacks don't look nearly as good now. I want to hang on to the Electro Harpoon. Let's get rid of that tiny spear. Oh god. Oh man, I was clicking stuff. Almost clicked that. Oh shit, I did click it. Fuck. You're fine, I guess. I wanted the expensive one. This is the point in the game where you don't really care what we get. I just want the one that costs like 6 mana. Didn't quite get that. Still going to block on the stone stackers here in the middle. In the case he has a combat trick, I'll still want to take the unit down. But yeah, whatever that guy was on the left, I think it was the one that's like a 5/5 that gets double impact or something. That's the one we wanted. I was sitting here just like clicking around. It's a bad habit that I have. But it'll be okay. Sure. Pokey sticks abound. Gross. This guy's way out generating us here. What's that been? 1 pokey stick, 2 conchologists. Not bad. All right, so we're gonna play the Mech Forcer. Like this dude's coming down. I don't want to get like too far involved in this board. And now Nar shows up. I think that's okay. Are we willing to put a point of damage onto Nar and Electro Harpoon him? Like getting 3 for 1 just blows. Like that is not good to just take that hit. And we have the Harsh Winds for next turn, so I think we just build up our board a little bit. The question I'm trying to like ask myself is, do I want to shared spoils this turn? And I don't think we do. I think we have a bit of time on that. So we want to add the Wanderer, and then I think we want to stop. All right, Rumble makes an appearance. That's important. The downside we have here is we can't actually kill Nar, right? We can put 3 damage on him. We can stop a lot of what's happening here, but we can't get a kill. Guess we can next turn with an Electro Harpoon, but we're running out of stuff to discard is kind of painful. Dude has a million cards in hand, and we're sitting here trying to figure out how to discard 4. It's not the greatest of places to be in. All right, we're done. Okay, so what do we see in here? I'd love to get rid of this stance swap. The Avarosian Sentry's not like super ideal in this deck, but it cycles, and that card advantage is something we really need as we're out here trying to discard a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, those 33 incoming changes. I'm curious how much of that is directed at Nar. That sounds like a absolutely gigantic patch, and that's why I was kind of looking to not do a ton of constructed right before the patch comes out, because it's going to be a completely different format, and so we'll see. We'll see how much we get going. But yeah, that was the plan. I was going to do this video was supposed to be Gauntlet. I was going to do like 3 expedition videos, and then that was going to get us right up to the patch in terms of video releases, and didn't exactly work out. Shyvana Ash. So he's not actually playing, not actually playing the Galio styled cards. This is always a little scary when you have Arena Kingpins against an Ash deck. They play so many Brittle Steels. I'm just going to hit with the Sentry. I'll trade the Sentry for a Brittle Steel. I don't want to trade the Kingpin for it. We'll find a better opportunity, I think. That's pretty good.
Patience, cautious, and quiet. This is our way.
All right. Well, I'm just going to come out here and discard a bunch of stance swaps, or generate a bunch of stance swaps. I think that's as good as we're going to get. We could have tried to pop the Grizzled Ranger with the Electro Harpoon, but we're going to just get 2 for 1 this way instead of getting 3 for 1 by playing the Harpoon. Not bad, my dude. Not bad. It's like I don't even really want these harpoons in our hand. Kind of want to keep the stance swap instead. This is potentially real dangerous. Like, we can flame spitter onto our rumble if he plays a big boy, but I'm not amped about this. It's very easy for him to play a 6 health unit here.
How soon Demacia forgets.
Is this specific rumble? Rumble's dealt 12 damage, and so if he gets into shenanigans and takes down our rumble, like how do we feel about playing the flame spitter? It looks like we should just be able to play a different rumble after this. Now if we flame spitter, he gets to. That's all unfortunate. Okay. Is he really gonna Golden Aegis this turn? Okay. I don't know what more to add than the groan.
Come on, hold it together. How does it feel?
Okay. Yeah, this has to be a Golden Aegis. I was thinking along the lines if we can like heal stance our Rumble going into the next turn, but I don't really want to have to. I have Spell Shield. Why would you do that?
Come on, baby.
How much can we Yordle in arms for here? It's like, I want to play the Yordle in arms to try and take down this board, but if it's like if we Yordle in arms and then he has a single combat, I don't want the Aloof Traveler on board at that point. Let's see what happens though.
Look, a thing.
Elf, that's not ours.
Missed what he discarded. It didn't look that interesting. Molten Breath. I guess that would have been. I guess that was actually kind of interesting. That would have been pretty bad for us to have to deal with.
I am more than I seem.
Monsters with heart are still monsters.
Did we fade it? Stopping, thinking real hard. That's not awesome. They tend to have so many single combat type cards. Oof. Oof, man. That feels good. So at this point, you'd have to worry about a riposte, but we're never going to play around that. We're just gonna hit. Definitely still attacking with Rumble. This will get a flip on him. It's like, yes, he can block Rumble with the Screeching Dragon, but we have the second Rumble in hand, which I think is a little bit more important than worrying about that. Ooh, Impact Poro. Definitely getting some damages in. But right, Rumble's at 11, so he'll be flipping off of this impact. Or no, he's not going to impact shit.
Stay still.
He doesn't have any attack. Oops. Still seems like it's lining up okay, but it's definitely a whoopsies. I was expecting the impact to come through. It's kind of nice getting the new one on board though with the spell shield again. Oh All right, what you got for us, my dude? We need a little bit of impact damage, and we'll be okay. Ash, that's abysmal.
Astounding curiosities lie ahead.
All right, Three Sisters gives us access to Entomb.
They are nothing.
And he's gonna hook something with Ash. We'll probably hook something with Ash, but it's kinda risky. Chance to lose her to a combat trick now. So what's our angle to win this game? I think what we're looking to do is we're going to play Rumble and just give him Overwhelm. I think that's going to be our greatest chance for victory, making him a 7 Overwhelm spell shield. Make him an 8 with the spear. Looks like we'll be 1 short if he blocks with Shyvana, but... Ew. Okay. Ew. Oh, he doesn't remember the damage he's dealt. That's sad, my dude. That's sad. I remember the damage I've dealt. So it's like we can only get him up to 8. Sad noises. Oh no, I thought he remembered this shit. Oh no. Discard up to 3 to grant Rumble everywhere, right? So we just don't need... Oh, we can give him another impact, though. So we can get him up to impact 2. But we're still going to be short on getting kills.
Slow down, will you?
Well. Don't quite see how we're going to get ourselves out of this, but it's not going to be this turn when we do it. It's like we need to just let them attack again and see if we can't do something from there. It's like we don't have the answers to the Shyvana or anything, which is just too much. It's like we're going to have to figure out a way to get all of our stuff on board and around these. Maybe we could make a Sejuani play to get through this. Like if we get to hook a small unit with a Sejuani and then get some impacts, that could be a way. Okay. So let's see. We got a couple of outs, I guess. We have 1 impact in hand. Sejuani for an Overwhelm play. Turtle Squire, not quite what we were looking for.
Do they still mourn? Do they even remember?
Don't want to play it just directly into Strafing Strike. We can do stuff now. That could be fairly important, because we were having struggles getting like our Yordle Ranger and everything on board. So now that he's played his single combat, we can play our expensive unit. And then we have all of our mana going into next turn. All 13 of it. Did we just do it? Rumble. Give him impact.
Baby, don't fail me now.
So he's got 2 impacts now. Now we have a Flame Spitter for a 3rd. Maybe. Maybe. Perhaps. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Alright. Alright, Rumble. Make him have another one. If he's got another one, he's got another one. But we found ourselves a way out of this game. That was the important thing here. Uh-oh. He's emoting. Is that a good one or a bad one? Looks like a good one. Nice. GG. Okay. Okay. Rumble says, I ain't giving up just yet. Not yet. That's good to know. Granted, haven't played a ton of Rumble. I wasn't aware that you could give him impact a bunch of times. That's why I was getting like so confused when the cards were coming up, and it's like, do you want to give him impact? And it's like, no, I already gave him impact and all that shit, so I had to stop and read it again. And so, okay, it's good to know he can get impact twice. But okay, so moving on. Do we want to pick up this Ruthless Raider? We already have like tons of 2s, but a lot of it is like these weird interactive spells and stuff. I kind of like the Ruthless Raider, but the cycle is strong as well. We don't have like tons of top end here. I think I'm going to hang on to the Travelers. I don't want the Spirit Unleashed. And then the Wanderer, I think we need over the Squire. I want both of these cards, but we found ourselves in these spaces to where we actually need these stance swaps to give an Overwhelm or something, and so I'm going to hang on to that one. All right, next battle. Man, I don't know what I've done. It feels like I got water in my ear. It makes it real challenging. I tried to clean it out today. I don't know. I got that stuff you spray on it. Didn't do anything. It's one of the joys of Kansas City. I don't know. Ever since I moved out here, it's always had some kind of allergy-ish problem. I feel like I'm just allergic to the city, but fucking worth it. Sure beats the hell out of West Virginia. I'll give it that one. But all right, on to the battles. Not that bad. I mean, this is the more along the lines of what I was kind of hoping to pull off with this Rumble deck in terms of card generation. We have the Yordle Squire to generate a card, Vulpine Wanderer to generate a card, and so if we drop this Rumble on 4 and discard 2 generated cards plus, you know, a Avarosian Sentry or something, that's not that bad of a deal. All right, lots of power here, picking up all the epics. Oh, friend. You do not have an answer to the Herald of Dragons. That's always quite scary. Ooh. I think I'm going to discard the stance swap here. Just a little expensive, and I don't really envision us using it. So let's go ahead and try and pop off the Herald. If he plays, you know, a combat trick here, not ideal, but it should put us in a space to where he can't at least play a unit this turn, right? But now he's playing Glimpse from Beyond that doesn't do anything, so this Herald should be going down. Well, assuming he was trying to dig for an answer with the Invoke or something. Okay, so where do we stand? Do we really just want to play like our good cards this turn? Like, I'm looking at this space as we can play Rumble and then discard the Sentry, the Spear, and the Aloof. It's like, I don't really want to discard the Aloof, though, because this guy's playing Aurelian Soul. And so I kind of want to hang on to our Aloof Travelers as a way to get Aurelian Soul off of the board. And let's see what we can do from here. This goes for the trade on the Poro Sled. Okay, that trick is the difference between then and now. That makes sense. Okay, not a great turn. Not a great turn. I was expecting him to add more to the board, and it just didn't happen. Would have been a little bit stronger if we had the Rumble down last turn. I think this is a place for the Sentry, right? If we say want to drop a Rumble after this turn, I think it's okay there. Now, got rid of a Captain Erika. Feels like a decent upgrade. don't have to take this block, but it does take a point of damage off of the Cadrigen, which then in turn lets us kill it with Rumble. So we're going to have to get the Rumble down and start doing Rumble things. So the things to discard, Tiny... Oh man, I don't want to we probably have to discard Tiny Spear. The Wolf and then the Harpoon. I'm still kind of envisioning this world where we kill them with impacts, kind of like we did in the last game. Maybe we get rid of the Yordle Ranger, right? I'm looking at, say, Tenor of Terror has impact, Rumble Flip is impact, Electro Harpoon is 2 damage to face. And so if we're going to start to look to get rid of our cards that don't have impact, that's like Yordle Ranger, Tiny Spear, and then the Merc Wolf, right? Because all of the Yordles off of the Mecha thing have, right, all of the Yordles off Scrap Heap have impact. And I think this gives us that additional shot to chunk in here. I like it. Right, we're going to have a tough time actually dealing damage without them. Okay. What are we getting into here? Back to back. All right. Well, we got another Rumble in hand. I guess that's the best way to look about this. We could look to play the Flame Spitter, but that doesn't seem super ideal. Yeah, I just don't want to discard the Tenor of Terror. It sucks to have to play this so slow, but I think this is still the way to do it. Don't care about any of these combats. All right, here's the Tenor. Here comes Rumble. We can Scrap Heap before we attack next turn and see if something cool shows up, but. We're just gonna get we're gonna struggle this game, and that everything in his deck is so expensive at this point. I don't think we can like impact him down from 10. Well, Yordle in Arms is Yordle in Arms is a thing, I guess. How much mana do we have? 11, so we can actually take the big one. And then try and Yordle in Arms. Okay. Okay. We'll find an angle. We're totally gonna get Aurelion sold next turn, but we got a shot here at least. How bad is this? Single combat? No. Alright, still doing it. Yeah, this guy's gonna be a lame-o, isn't he? Wow. Sure. Okay. I mean, it kind of is what it is. That was a very odd game. That was one of those games as to where we talk about the Herald of Dragons in terms of it being super high rolly, because you'll land on games to where the collection of things that can happen, right, are you hit a Herald of Dragons early, and then you get to curve out your 4-drop on 3 and your 5-drop on 4. You just win that game every time. Like, that's the reason you're playing Herald of Dragons. Then, the flip side are you run into games to where you have that all lined up. You have your Herald of Dragons, you have your 3-drop and your 4-drop, but your opponent just plays a Challenger, gets a value attack on your Herald of Dragons, and then you're just super far behind the rest of the game. The other thing that'll happen is it's turn 9 of the game and you draw Herald of Dragons and it's just dead the rest of the way. And so the problems that you tend to run into with the Targon-based Dragons decks are you either have a high roll draw and you miss, right? You have that Herald of Dragons draw and your opponent interacts with it, or you just don't have the right card at the right time to get your curve going. Or you pick up one of these draws to where everything in your hand costs like 5+ mana, and you can only play one card in a turn when you need to be able to play 2 cards in a turn. And it seems like that was one of those decks to where I bet the average curve was like 4.5, and it feels like it probably had like 5 cards in it that cost 2 mana or less, and then they just drew everything in the right order. Just props to him for winning the game, but it did feel like those cards were hitting at just like the right times and coming down in just the right order, getting like just the right sequence to play a big boy, and then having like the kind of like perfect follow-ups. And so I feel like if we got to play that match a whole bunch of times, we would have a pretty positive win rate. We just ran ourselves into a excessively awkward one there. But I don't know, we could have played the tiny spear onto our Rumble before he attacked and got combat tricked out, but kind of is what it is. But yeah, I did kind of allude to earlier, I haven't quite decided what I want to do with the channel. We're in this weird space, right? I feel like I can realistically get like 3 or 4, maybe 5 constructed videos together in a week. I can't do 7. I could see us like, the new patch comes out, we get out like 4 or 5 videos. The next week comes out, we get out like 4 or 5 videos. And then the week after that, everything is kind of at a lull. And you don't have as much opportunity to put stuff out. And so it's like I have to find something to do. Because I don't want to play Path of Champions, so I have to find something to do in that remainder of the time. And it's like I don't want to get heavily invested in something else, because I am ultimately super interested in what comes forth from the Path of Champions 2.0 and seeing what Riot has coming for us starting in May. And so it's like I don't super want to just like fill in with like Magic Draft or with Hearthstone or with whatever other game is out there, but I gotta find something to do. And it's like I've kind of had some ideas with dealing with the various deck builders out there. There's been a lot of them kind of rolling through these days, but I'm having a tough time deciding what I would like to do at the end of the day. And I'm like, as time goes on, I feel like I'm just kind of like leaning more and more towards just playing Magic, but I can't quite decide. But nonetheless, with what's happening with the game here, I don't feel like we need to get the Rumble going, but we don't have a lot of better options here, and so he's got to make the cut at this space. Let's discard the Tiny Spear, the Stance Swap, and I think the Flame Spitter. I think we would rather have the Heroic Refrain than the Flame Spitter, and get him locked and loaded. Okay. All of our attacks are pretty good. Man, this guy's got all the toss cards. Nice to see him lose the Sea Scarab. That's the one that's always the biggest pain for us. So he's jettisoned and tossed 2. He's at 21 cards at this point. I think we're okay. We have this Heroic Refrain in the face of this Thresh. I think that's good. I can't imagine he wants to hook Rumble. Rumble will flip if he hooks him. Okay, this isn't worth the combat trick. It sucks not having the boost for the tenor, though. So where are we at? We can like do this. Let's play the Wanderer. We can then, we can scrap heap the Wanderer, like the Stance Swap away and see what we hit. probably not going to play it because I'm interested in just hitting the heroic refrain here. But let's see how big he's going to get. That takes him to 16 cards, I think. Right, so 1 card away from deep. I definitely want to be able to play the heroic refrain. So let's discard the stance swap. Doubt we're going to hit anything I want to play. Let's go with the Von Mech. Generate all these cards. We need to keep our width going here, but not going to play it. Interesting in hitting the Daring Poro. If he wants to try and combat it, or it gets to, well, it's probably not going to get a block next turn on the Abyssal Eye, but the potential for him is there. So how bad is this? I was wanting to... does he ever just, like, Thresh kill us next turn? He's got a Maokai and a Nautilus left in his deck. There's a very good chance that he just Thresh hooks into Nautilus. But I think we have to let the Abyssal Eye stand. We play the heroic... Well, the Thresh, like, won't flip if... the problem is Thresh getting to 5 health, right? If Thresh flips, he's going to have 5 health. If we play the heroic refrain on the Yordle, he'll be 1 short of flipping, but if he has a 1 damage ping or a glimpse from beyond or something, he's going to flip his Thresh. I think we let that just happen. I'm going to boost the Wanderer, and then I'm going to boost Rumble, so Rumble will flip and then give us the impact hit. Okay, so Thresh is gone. There's just like... If we run into this space to where he's like, Herder, here's the Nautilus, by the way, there's an Atrocity, which is not like a super unrealistic thing, then we just lose the game. And so I think this is good. This board looks fantastic. He's going to get like the Maokai toss to hook our Daring Poro next turn, but I think that's okay. Oh, we had another. We hit 3 elusives off of this thing? Are you serious? Oh, man. Maybe we will get a block for the Abyssal Eye. Wow. Better lucky than good, as they say. These are all created cards, too, as well. Like, for the Nyandroid, we have a created in the Young Witch, a created in the Mourned, and a created in the Yordle Squire. Losing out on your Rasa. Okay, okay. So I don't want to play Nyandroid as our first one. We can play it as our second one, though. So let's drop the Mourned.
I will.
And how do we feel about taking this 10-piece nugget off of the Shipwreck Order? We don't have to block the Abyssal Eye, right? We can just let that go, put our Daring Poro in front of the Hoarder. Because, again, I just want to stay out of Atrocity range. If we take 10, we're going to get boomed by Atrocity. We have 4 impact coming in. We can get up to 6 impact with the Tenor of Terror. But will we be wider than him? Yeah, we'll definitely be wider. I like this idea. We'll block the 10. We'll keep all of our impacts. We play the Nyandroid, we can't get the tenor down. Young Witch, we can Young Witch the Rumble up to 7. So he can't kill Rumble with the Shipwreck Order.
Come on, Rip.
Rocket primed.
Ready to blow.
Okay, his blocks should be sufficiently bad this turn. Surprised he's hanging on to Maokai. Is he trying to kill us with the toss or something? I guess he is playing 2 copies. He can get the cycle going. If you're not familiar, like the way you kill with Maokai is he flips, he aces your opponent's deck, but you can't toss champions, and so you basically cast the Maokai spell, it puts the Maokai back in your deck, and you just cycle casting that spell every turn until you deck your opponent. But are we lethal here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think so. One short. There's the impact. Okay, GG. If he was... Oh, Rumble had Spell Shield. Okay, I was going to say, well, you should have played that Vengeance on Rumble. I guess that wasn't going to be a thing. Okay. So, cool. We can trade out the Ice Shard for Conchologist. That's good. I would like to trade out these Electro Harpoons. Pokestick is a good pickup, but the Ice Shard is just like off theme of what we're trying to do. We have like some combos to where it could work out, but this has just been awkward and not good in our deck up to this point, so glad enough to get rid of it. Right, it's a pre-final battle. And so yeah, it's like I'm leaning towards just playing Magic. It's tough. I don't know. I'll occasionally get into some of like the deck builders that I just don't feel like. I don't know. It's like with the hundreds of hours that I've put into like Slay the Spire and such. Like I feel good with that one, but I don't know at what point I feel good like making content for a new game, unless it's just going to be like, well, let's give this like an initial playthrough, and so. You know, if we're gonna say do like 5 hours of a deck builder each week, then maybe we do like 10 or 15 hours of a deck builder and then move on to whatever the next new one is. But it's tough. I wish I had more of an idea as to whether or not I should just give up on like whatever Path of Champions is going to be, or how to go about it. But here with this one, it's like I almost want to just take the trinket trade. If we're gonna look at this as like, well, it's probably a card we're just gonna discard, then maybe we take the Caught in the Cold. It does give us a nice way to come in and hook a Kindred or a Zed. And the trinket trade doesn't really do much. I think this is fine. But we'll bring in the attack now. It's too easy for opponent to play like rando 3/3 for 3. Like have them play a whatever the dude is that generates Vigio ephemerals or something. I definitely don't want to run into that. These are more along the lines of real cards. The Lightning Rush is kind of interesting, right? We're getting tons of value out of these Conchologists, and normally I would say that, that's a lot of mana to do not a lot of work, but our hand doesn't really do anything. And so let's add the Conchologist. If it comes down to next turn and we don't have anything to do, then we can seriously consider making a Lightning Rush play. And I kind of like the idea of it now that we're running into Kindred. Let's just pass. Let's see if he attacks. He's probably going to attack. Doesn't. That's fine. Say I wanted to get this Caught in the Cold going. So let's scrap heap. You can discard the spear. Not going to use it here. Did we get a good one? We got some good ones. Both of these are interesting. We can turn the Conchologists into 3/3s. That's what I'm leaning towards here. But the Dunehopper mech is big. I think we just go with the Trump Tecker. Get all MAGA with our Yordles today with the Trump Tecker out here. Is that what you're doing? Oh, it's a Trumpet Tecker. Not a Trump Tecker, a Trumpet Tecker. No, he's just gonna go full MAGA on us. Alright, this should be okay. There's definitely worlds where this attack isn't successful. Like, the only card that would make this feel real bad is if he has a Crumble. Crumble would feel terrible. Or if he has, like, a Journey End, or whatever the Kindred flip is called. Spirit Journey, to where you kill the unit and get it back. Seems like what he's angling towards here, but... let's see where this gets us. That's kind of juicy. Miss out on the impact, which is unfortunate, but I didn't feel super safe saying like hooking Kindred with a Conchologist and then attacking with the other two units. It's like we're just gonna lose the Conchologist to the Camaveran. He'll put the 1/1 in front of our Trumpet Techer, and then it doesn't feel very good as he brings in Kindred number 2. I think we're safe enough on board here. If he attacks, we can just take the damage. Our health is pretty high. Let's get Rumbled down. Well, we're back in this space. We can get the Wanderer down, then discard the Stance Swap to Rumble. All right, Trump Techer, you have lost your life. Sad day for you. So Stance Swap, Harpoon. I probably don't want the Stone Stackers, right? He's not very good here. Let's get rid of the Stance Swap, the Stone Stackers, and the Harpoon. And then we'll keep our value package and the Lightning Rush shared spoils, and then plan to Sejuani next turn. I think that's all well and good. These Trump Tech and Conchologists ready for battle, though. I think I'm definitely happier. It's like I've been kind of like mulling on how I feel about the Trumpet Techer being down, given his stats are kind of meh. But I think it's good. I mean, these Conchologists get to battle pretty handily now. Alright, so let's see how much mana they spend. If they don't spend any mana and they just pass it right back to us, then I'll hook Kindred with the Rumble, right? That makes me kind of feel like his angle is going to be Vengeance. If he does start dropping cards and drops below 6 mana, then I'll hook Kindred with Sejuani, so we get the Overwhelm stuff in. The way that this is awkward is if his play is Spirit Journey, right? If we hook Kindred with Rumble and he has the Spirit Journey, then we miss out on the damage. To where if we hook Kindred with Sejuani, then it does work out. He plays the Rekindler. Interesting. Well, you can't kill any of these guys. Do we actually want to put the 0 in front of the Trumpet Techer? Probably not. Like the only thing we're worried about here would be like a Black Spear. And so I definitely want Rumble to be out there in the open. He's going to quick attack down whatever our opponent has. It's just like, do we want to spread the damage out a little bit more evenly? I don't think so. I think this is fine. Fuck, he did have the trick. Ooh, that's bad. So we take him to 9, lose our Rumble. Gonna lose the Conchologist. That's okay. We have another Rumble in the back, but okay. Just switch to the high impact plays. Why not?
I as well, dear wolf.
I don't think we want the second impact. Well, do we want to get the Tenor down? The Tenor of Terror can block a... let's get Rumble.
Locked and loaded.
This is another deck where you have to worry a little bit about Atrocity. So I don't want to let him just come in for like a 100 here, but... Not horrible at letting him get some of the action going. It's all about getting that Kindred flip. Okay. Not a huge deal. It's unfortunate in that we want to overwhelm some damage from Sejuani here. And it's a little tough to do when Kindred is getting the +2/+2s. But I think this is okay. And we could Electro Harpoon at some point. I can't, like, imagine what he plays here that makes me want to, like, Electro Harpoon. He's not going to play a 2 health unit here. Fucking Rekindlers. Okay. So the Sejuani gets blocked by the 6/4. That's fine. Rumble just wins against everything. Okay. What the big thing here is I want to keep like the Tenor of Terror out of trouble. Like maybe we should have attacked with him anyways, but this was like the unit I want to be our kind of safety net. Yeah, just have it all, dude. Okay. All right, let's see what we draw with shared spoils. I'm unfortunately believe this one is done. We attacked with those units in the wrong order, but okay. Okay. Oof. Too much Kindred. Man, I used to get so mad at Kindred. It wasn't mad. It was just like frustrating to play against. It's like, we'll skip over all these. There was a Battle Fury in there, but we don't have enough Overwhelms. It's just there's a lot of decks that just can't do anything about it, and it's one of those cards that I still feel kind of this way, where it was like one of those cards that's fine and constructed, but in Expedition, it's just like probably shouldn't exist. Or if it does exist, they should be doing the thing to where they go and just annihilate the archetype like they did to Callista. But it's ultimately a pretty frustrating experience running up against Kindred. All right, against Yuumi Diana. I think I'm okay to lead with one of these Vulpine Wanderers. There's not... Okay, it's like there's not tons of units that really come in here and just shut it down. I can't remember the last time I've even seen a Solari Shield Bearer, and so props to you for having that one. And the Yuumi. I think it's safe to drop Conchologist. The thing I want to do is to get a Mecha Yordle going next turn. Entreat is kind of interesting, as we're guaranteed to draw a Rumble with it. I don't think we're going to play it, but it's a powerful option that we have. Here I'm leaning to just scrap heap, see what we find, and then just start slamming into this unit. Brutal. So I think we take the Little Dipper. Really looking for like any of the 3s or any of the 4s. This is so awkward having the worst 2 and then 2 6s. But I think we have to take the Little Dipper. We can get 5 units on board and then just come in and slam. So we'll put the 6/5 in front of our 2/3, trade the Telescope for something. Move on, get in for 7. I think this is a reasonable way to attack his Go Tall unit here. Now we also have Sejuani to deal with in a turn or 2 from now. It's another point of awkwardness in hitting the Little Dipper is like we can't play the Dipper and the Sejuani in the same turn. True Shot Barrage, are you serious? Oh my god, welcome to playing against fucking Loping Telescope. I'm surprised you all weren't ready to play around the the True Shot Barrage. Jesus. Okay, Entreat, Stance Swap. Get the fully charged Rumble. The next turn we'll play the Little Dipper and discard the Tusk Raider. It says Summon on the dude here. That's kind of interesting. So like we get, well, we don't have any Sejuanis left in our deck, so I guess it doesn't completely count. So on that turn, would we rather just discard Avrosian Sentry? We can get the big boy in the Tusk Raider. I don't think that plunder's ever going to matter. Now we have 2 units that can technically take down the shield bearer. Should be tough for him to get down a unit that can like just ace us this combat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Seems like this is about to be not ideal. Hush, okay.
You cannot sway me.
Sure. So we lose out on our Tusk Raider and our unit. That's not a bad turn for opponent. Not a bad turn. And now if he opens on us, we have to throw Rumble in front of the Shield Bearer. Really kind of counting on this Sejuani. I was kind of under the assumption that at the end of the day we would have a unit on the board that wasn't Rumble.
They took my love, but left my ring.
Okay, you can still Sejuani this. It has Spell Shield, but this isn't a circle ability, so the Frostbite vulnerable still happens. Okay. Alrighty, so what do we get now? Yordle Ranger's not bad.
I've got a new tactic.
I'm not letting Scout drop you on an enemy, Peppy.
Slow spell. Uh-oh. What is this gonna be? What is this gonna be? Oh, that's not as bad. Okay. So we'll bring the Yordle Ranger in. No guarantees that he just throws the Shield Bearer in front of it. That's what I assume is going to happen. But let's drop the Sentry just in case he decides to put maybe a Yordle Squire in front of it. Puts a Mountain Goat in front of it. And now we'll get the second attack with him. One of our champions should be doing some surviving here. That heal doesn't seem awesome for opponent. And now let's put the Tiny Spear onto Rumble so he gets the flip and such. And I'm going to leave the Sentry back. It's not going to get a good attack, and if this all goes completely wrong, I want to have the Sentry around to block the Shield Bearer. So the Shield Bearer is going to go in front of Sejuani. We chunk in for like 2, but he heals 2. Okay. It's interesting he blocked with the Sparkle Fly. That's a elusive he would have for next turn when we're pretty low in health.
Well fought.
Okay. Yeah, got this little dipper. There's a non-zero chance we can't even play this guy next turn. Alright, no Zenith Blades, please.
Looking into the future, I see purple. Strong body, strong
Okay, seems fun. Yordle Explorer, out of order, sure.
celestial power.
I think we're all good here.
Time to move on.
So we don't have to like kill the Shield Bearer. Like if we want to kill the Shield Bearer, we have to throw Rumble in front of it, which I'm not really amped about. I'm like want to definitely keep our Yordle Ranger. Don't want Rumble to die.
Eat 'em up.
Igniting.
Was thinking of something like this. So we'll get to draw card. We'll get a Mecha Yordle off of Rumble. Most of our stuff survives. I think that's good. And then we get the little Yordle Squire down on the board. Yo, do you have to deal damage to the Nexus?
Going cold.
Yes, so the Rumble doesn't quite count. The Yumi's flipped. Yumi's going to give him +2/+2 next turn. I think that's okay. Okay. Flame Spitter could be pretty relevant if we manage to get a unit through without dying in combat. Oh, it's a playability for the Squire. That sucks. At least we got a unit still. Stress defense. Stress defense would be fairly interesting outside of the guy having spell shield up here. I don't want the entreat, right? Well, we can flame spit we can impact for 4 this turn. I don't feel like that's really enough. It'll be 5 once Rumble hits. Kind of leaning towards this Take Heart, as that's what's going to allow our Yordle Squire to keep attacking.
Let us take a peek at life beneath the waves.
These gems grant a wearer harmony.
Boost it up. Okay, so he plays all the gems, but he doesn't play the card in his hand, and so we're in this space to where, say we attack with everything, he puts his 28 in front of Rumble, he puts his 2/2 in front of our Yordle Squire, and then his 1/2 in front of our 2/1. Now we're getting in for 2 damage with the Conchologist. It would be 4 damage once he's Flame Spit. Be 5 with an impact. It would be lethal with the Rumble. So I don't think we want to make a Yordle Ranger attack. I think we just attack with everything else. Or we don't want to make a Scout attack. Although we could go ham on the Shield Bearer. But the place where this is bad is if he now has a Hush, right? But we take Heart the Rumble. We Flame Spit the Conchologist. Then that's lethal. Oh, it's not lethal. Did we really math that wrong? Oh, I thought the Yordle Ranger had impact. We're still looking pretty good here now, but we can lose to weird shit like an elusive. Was there a Flame Spitter in that? There was a stress defense flame. I can't remember if there's a Flame Spitter in that Conchologist. But we got there at the end of the day. Made our way into that final battle. Rumble and Tristy win, even though there's no Tristana in our deck. All right, so keeping the Yordles in arms, I'd rather have the Stone Stackers than the newbie. The Tenor of Terror for Electro Harpoon feels like a win. I don't want these Electro Harpoons in our deck. Here's another one for Conchologist. That's a huge win. Go ahead and get that out of here. Electro Harpoon for Yordle Squire. I like it. Let me double check these other ones real quick. I think that's good. We're now at 0 Electro Harpoons. I wish it would figure out we are, in fact, playing a Rumble deck, but it's not going to do that. Here's our opportunity for a second Yordles in arms. That feels pretty good. And let's do it. Let's get to this final battle. Man, only 4 trade picks? Was that... We've lost 3, right? You normally, if you're in the final battle with 0 losses, you get 7 trades. I thought that was one of these situations to where we gave you the full value 13 game expedition, but not quite the case. But okay, yeah, I think we touched on everything along the way. You know, probably gonna make some magic videos. My ear, because it's happening. All right. Here against Darkness, I feel pretty good about hanging on to Rumble. It's a real pain in the butt for them when he comes down with the Spell Shield. And so I feel decent hanging on to him. Now we have some potential for a Yordle and arms draw here, right? We have Bandle City, Noxus, PNZ. We just need one more... Shit, I skipped the attack. We need one more faction to get it all going. Let's see if we can't make up for this a little bit. Just a tiny oopsies, a little whoopsies to the amount of 2 damage, but All right, let's definitely build towards the Yordles in arms now. We just hit the Shadow Isles with the tenor.
Looking for a hero for my hero.
No play from opponent. Interesting. Do we even want to bother with the Rumble at this point now? It's like I'm kind of looking at this as if we want to Yordle in arms next turn, I want to play Tenor of Terror. I think I want to play Tenor of Terror anyways. The downside, he's going to get to like spit a darkness onto our 3-1. But I think that's okay. This feels like it's not coming up on a Yordle in arms turn. It's going to be a turn from now. But if we pick up like a 1-drop or a 2-drop, it's going to be like a real question. Oh, it's the Yordle in arms is short on targets anyways. It's going to be 2 turns from now. All right, well, this is the way to get your to get your Rumble down on the cheap. Tiny spear, tiny spear, tiny spear. Okay, so on our next turn, we have to play Aloof Travelers, right? We need to get our Yordles in arms up to 4 factions. It doesn't have to be this turn, it could be next turn, but we have to figure out a way to get both Aloof Travelers and Yordles in arms onto the board. Looks like a decent space for him this turn. Then we could potentially go into next turn, and that would have been choice if we got to Traveler away the Senna. Hitting Rekindler is not bad. Vagar's a Yordle, so it's everybody's doing a little bit of Yordle stuff, right? Bringing in the darkness, sure. So, do we even want to bother with the Tenor of Terror? I don't think so. Like, we can play the Squire. He's going to attack with Senna. We'll just take it, and then next turn we can open with Yordle in arms. I think this is good. We'll see. He's going to darkness something now, right? He has Senna, so he can play it at fast speed. He's going to darkness probably the Tenor of Terror. He has another like spell in hand and wants to like target Rumble and then darkness. Then by all means, you know, that's a shitload of mana to make that kind of investment. Now we can realistically consider the Yordle in arms is going to happen. Let's see how he spends his mana. We can still scrap heap into something good, right? We can get a 4-cost card that's pretty strong here. So let's see what turns up. And then if we don't like what turns up, we can still just attack, right? This is a burst spell. The Fury Horn Crasher is somewhat tempting, but I think we just want to go expensive here. Let the Rumble cheapen him up a little bit. So many so many Yordle Squires coming through, bringing that heat. Okay. So he's got the Vagar Senna on board. The Vagar's pretty close to flipping. He's 1 damage away, so we are going to have to worry about that a little bit, but we're hopefully able to switch from, hey, I've got all this stuff on the board plan, to, hey, here's all my impacts, and see where this gets us. We could also look, you know, depending on what he does, to just put Overwhelm onto Rumble. I think that's a fair wager as well. Alright, so that prevents 4. Let's see how this goes. He still has the mana to drop a Darkness. It'll probably kill Sejuani, but he doesn't get to gain the health this turn. Are we going to get killed by Vagar? We're going to be in this space to where we have to open attack, right? because he's going to have the darkness in hand, and Vagar's going to be ready to deal like 7 damage darknesses, so we can't let them get a second darkness. He has to attack here, though. Maybe we shouldn't have let out with the stone stackers, but I don't think that's a big advertisement as to what's going on. Okay, so he gets the 6 damage darkness. Oh, it only costs 1? Are we just dead? When I'm summoned or attack, is this a round start now? Fuck. He did it. He boomed us. GG, my dude. Damn. I thought that Yordles in Arms was going to be enough. That was wild that we were so short there. But maybe he'll do something weird. That's always a thing, right? Bonkers though. You know what this dude's doing? Are you familiar with the strategy? Look at this. Premium. Look at our champions. Rumble. Premium. Where you at? Sejuani? Not premium. That's what did it. That's what did it. I told you all from the start. It's a pay-to-win game. And this is what we're seeing right here. He's dropped it. He's dropped all of the pay-to-win cards on us. And just aced us like that. Despicable. Alright, we're at exactly 0 on the lethals. Oh, he's got piercing darkness and stuff. Not even trying to kill us in the face place. Man. Alright. But not a bad trial. That was a fun one. And so, yeah, with the Rumble, I think we were really getting kind of into the Rumble space, if you will, there at the end. When we had all of the Yordle Squires, we had the Conchologists, we had the Vulpine, Shaman Maker things. And I feel like this was a decent pivot coming out of the option of Sejuani. And so, again, like ideally drafting Rumble, you're going to be at Noxus. Your best friend is the Reforge mechanic. That's what lets you do so many things, right? You can just straight up discard them to Rumble. That's always great. Your units there are much more aggressive in having the Runeforger as opposed to Conchologist. And then the items are pretty good for Rumble as well, right? If you give him a single +2 attack, then he's immediately flipped and doing the ability thing. Whereas if you don't have any bonus stats, he doesn't get the Mecha Yordle on his second attack. And then he has the Overwhelm one as well. So when he's coming in with these big quick attacks and your opponent tries to block him with their 1/1, you're able to chunk in some damage as well. And so that is the ideal way to do it. But you do also have to be sure that you come up with some ways to generate these cards. The last thing you could be doing with Rumble is just discarding 3 cards that are real cards every time. It's okay to discard 1, but you're really looking for the generated cards or some of those Noxus cards that really support the discard themes, like the I can't remember its name, but it's the 3/1 for 2 mana that when you discard it, it comes back to your hand as a 4/2. Like that kind of stuff you're really looking for with Rumble. But, in a deck that didn't have access to that, since we won't play 3 factions, I think that was pretty good with the angles that we got out of Freylord. But again, if you're looking to draft Sejuani, you're looking to be the big Overwhelms deck. If you're looking to draft Rumble, you want to be with the discard-heavy card generation strategy, and there's not a lot of overlap between the two. There's no overwhelms within Bandle City, and so you kind of have to pick an archetype. The big thing we talk about is just not half-assing anything. You want to whole-ass a strategy real good, and I feel like we whole-assed the Rumble strategy pretty good here and had a pretty good run. But, looks like we have a reward to claim here. That's what we're going to finish off the day with. I forget. I've been skipping through. I was really interested in playing Sejuani today because it's been over 100 trials since we've done a full Sejuani build around. But I've got too much going on with that Rumble. So I'm going to save these loot boxes for another expedition just to make sure that we have something for when those turn up. And that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the trial. You found the impact of Rumble to be very pleasing. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.